We're here. What is up? All right. I think I'm live here. Let me know in the comments if you joined the video, if you can hear me all right and you can see me fine. We got a good video here today. All right. Gonna give it a minute. I got my notes up here on my laptop. Looks like it's working all right. Let me know in the chat if you're jumping on, if you can hear me all right, if the audio is working, if you can see me fine. I'm on my phone. I usually go live on my laptop, but the phone was just way more clear. So hopefully the audio is all right and you can hear me decently enough. Let me know in the comments if you can. And we'll get started in just a minute here. All right, so let's dive into it because I've got a lot to go over in this one. We're going to go over 15 things that make it harder to get leaner and drop body fat. All right, now it's crazy to say we're in March, but we've got the summer around the corner. I just filmed another video about if you're trying to get leaner for summer and you're trying to look more ripped or defined or toned or lose weight before summer and look your best, you really need to start now, right? That, like, it sounds crazy because it just snowed, at least here in the Northeast. It snowed yesterday, so it doesn't feel like summer's around the corner. But when we're talking about improving your physique and doing it in a way that is fairly significant and noticeable, it is always going to take a few months at least to do that. Even if you're already in pretty good shape, like I'm around 14 or 15% body fat. I'm nowhere near like the most ripped or shredded or aesthetic physique that I'm capable of. But if I wanted to get to that, even already at a pretty decent physique, it would probably take me a few months to do it, right? So if you're somebody who is not in great shape yet or not in that good of shape yet, or you're not happy with how your body is at and your body composition, it might take you 6 months or somewhere in that range, right? So again, if you're trying to look your best for summer, now's the time to get started. So I really hope this video can help out with that. Thank you so much. Someone said I looked strong. Appreciate that. Thank you. If you're joining the video, please let me know in the comments below if you can hear me all right, if the audio is good. I go live every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern time. So this time I go live here on my YouTube channel every Wednesday with a different deep dive topic that I think can genuinely help you on your journey and help you see better results. Someone said, and then now do 138 push-ups. I don't know. I don't think I can do that many in a row. But yeah, let me know in the comments if you can hear me all right and if the the audio is working all right. But what I'm going over here in this video, I'm going to dive right into it because I've got a lot to cover. 15 things that make it harder than it needs to be to get lean and to drop body fat. All right, so I've got my list of 15 things here. If you're trying to lose weight and have it not be incredibly difficult, you're definitely going to want to double check this list and see if you're doing any of these things. And that way you can make it as easy and as predictable as possible for yourself during your next fat loss phase or your current fat loss phase to lose more weight and get leaner. All right, so the first thing that makes it harder to get leaner and lose weight is drinking your calories. All right, now this one you've, I hope, heard before. Drinking your calories, that can be in the form of alcohol, that can be in the form of juice or Gatorade or energy drinks or anything that has calories. Man, this might be the lowest hanging fruit. I put this one as number one, and number 15, the last one, are arguably some of the most important ones, or the ones that make the most difference. Oh, we've got Defender of Cookies. What is up, man? How's it going? Someone said my mom is a Pilates teacher. I imagine you mean Pilates. Yes, I got Matt up in here. How's it going, man? I recognize the name, of course. So cool. So we're going into today, again, if you're just jumping on, 15 things that make it harder than it needs to be to get leaner and to lose body fat. Number one is drinking your calories. I'm going to briefly explain why that is. It's because if we're trying to be in a calorie deficit and we are using some of those calories in our day towards drinks and liquids that don't actually keep us full, you now have less calories to work with food that actually keeps you full, right? So the name of the game with being in a calorie deficit and doing it sustainably and for a while and not feeling miserable or starving all the time is, can you comfortably be in a calorie deficit where you're not starving all the time and drinking your calories, even if it's a drink or two a night, or even if you don't drink during the week, but you have 5 or 6 drinks or 8 drinks on the weekend. We're talking about 1,000 calories of liquid throughout the week, right? Or almost 1,000 calories, or maybe even a little bit more, depending on what you're drinking, right? That adds up. That makes a difference, right? If you could get 1,000 calories back each week in foods that you can then eat, that's a whole another meal, or that's 2 smaller meals broken up. So drinking your calories is number one. Like, can you lose weight drinking alcohol and drinking your calories? Sure. It's just like the lowest hanging fruit. And this is why so many people stop drinking alcohol, and literally that's the only thing they do differently, and they lose weight like clockwork. This is the one thing you can do that by itself will move the needle if you're currently drinking calories every day, even if it's just a drink or 2 per day. All right. Let me know if that makes sense. Number one is drinking calories. Number 2 is eating out or ordering food out multiple times a week. Hi, Wesley. Hi, Ellington. Thank you guys for jumping on. Anyone who's joining, let me know in the comments below. Let me know that you're here. I'm going over some really good stuff today. 15 things that make it harder to get leaner and to lose weight. So make sure you're not making these mistakes if you're trying to get leaner and you're trying to lose body fat. Number 2 is eating out multiple times a week, or ordering food out multiple times a week. This is because most restaurants are going, even if you made the same meal at home compared to what you get out at a restaurant, it's going to be a lot more calorie dense at a restaurant. Their job, if you think about it, right? They're in business. Their job is to make the food taste as amazing as humanly possible, so that you're like, oh my God, this is the best salmon I've ever had, or this is the best pizza I've ever had. This is the best. Like, they want you to talk about it and tell your friends, and they want you to come back, right? They want you to come back next week or come back once a month because it's so good. It's the best salmon you've had. And the best salmon you've ever had is probably full of butter and oil and sauces that make it taste amazing. Lathering butter on steak, lathering butter on fish, lathering butter and oil on chicken makes it taste way fucking better, right? Compared to if I made that same salmon at home with no butter and no oil, and it's just bland as shit. My meal is a lot more macro friendly, a lot more better for someone trying to lose weight, and it's probably a third of the calories compared to going to the restaurant and having that best salmon ever, but it's got half a cup of olive oil and 4 tablespoons of butter on it. This is why going out to eat almost always, like, very rarely are you going to get a meal for under 1,000 or even under 1,500 calories. And if you add an appetizer on top of that, if you add a dessert on top of that, if you add drinks on top of that, it can make it really hard for someone who's trying to lose weight, even if you go out to eat just a couple times a week and you approach it like that. And again, even if you're eating fairly healthy, a salmon meal is a healthy meal. Salmon's amazing to eat. But because of the extra oils and butters and sauces they're adding to it that add 800 calories or 900 calories to it, it makes it really hard for someone who's trying to stay in a deficit. Wesley, yep, if you have a question, leave it in the chat. I'll definitely get to it if I can, all right? If anyone has any questions, leave them in the chat. Happy to answer. So eating out, again, is not something I'm saying you can never eat out. I'm saying if you're eating out multiple times a week, it's certainly going to make it harder to lose weight compared to if you were to prepare most of your own meals, if you were in control of most of your own meals. This is what I usually tell clients. If you can limit your meals out to 1 per week, which is reasonable, right? You save it for a Friday night or a Saturday night. If you can limit it to 1 per week in a serious fat loss phase, if you're in a serious fat loss phase, it's a priority of yours to lose weight and lose it consistently. Saving meals out for once per week is going to help you see the fastest results. Now, you can still lose weight eating out twice a week or 3 times a week, but it may slow it down. It very well may slow it down compared to if you were eating out once per week. Someone said, okay, Wesley said, what if you add just a little bit of butter to your salmon? Is that okay? So again, there's no yes or no to any of these questions, right? There's nuance to all of this. Like, what's a little bit of butter? Like, if you're tracking your food, a tablespoon of butter is 140 calories, right? So like, are you measuring out that? Or is a little bit of butter to you 3 tablespoons? Or is it, half a tablespoon, right? It's probably not half a tablespoon, but like, if it's measured and you know how much you're having, you're going to be in more control of it. So that's why having butter at home and adding a tablespoon of butter to it is infinitely better than going out to eat where, like, they're not measuring out 1 tablespoon of butter. Like, they're probably putting 4 tablespoons of butter on there, or they're just putting a big chunk of it. They might use half a stick of butter on each salmon or each chicken dish that's being cooked because that's how it's going to taste the best. Restaurants don't give a fuck what the macros of the meal are. They're trying to make it taste the best so that you come back and eat there, right? So anything is okay. It's just a matter of what you have left. If you're tracking your food, how many calories did you allocate to that meal? Do you have room for some extra butter in the meal or no? Do you have room for an extra cup of rice with that meal or no? So everything is okay, but if you're someone who's calculated and measured with the things you're eating, you're almost always going to see better results than someone who has no idea, right? If I ask you, hey, how much butter did you use on that meal? And you say a little bit, or you can't give me a clear measurement, you're more in the dark, right? You're not as clear and on how much you're actually eating. But if I ask someone else, hey, how much butter did you use on your meal? And they say, I used 2 tablespoons, exactly. That's still an extra couple hundred calories, but they're crystal clear on how much they're actually having. Maybe they saved 250 calories to do that for the day. You see what I mean? I hope that helps. Is milk a good drink to have? In regards to what? Good in regards to what? Like fat loss, or in regards to protein, or there's no right or wrong to any of this, specifically nutrition stuff. For someone who's lactose intolerant, no, you shouldn't have milk, right? But for a normal person, milk, there's nothing wrong with milk. It's a more calorie dense. I mean, it is drinking your calories, right? We talked about that in number 1, drinking your calories. It would certainly be that. But you could get unsweetened almond milk, which would be 30 calories per cup. So that's a lot lower. If you could use a fat-free, like Fairlife milk, which actually gets you some protein for very little fats and carbs. So again, there's nothing wrong with it, but it does fall into the category of drinking your calories. Yeah, someone said make sure it's well seasoned and marinated. Like seasonings are the way to go, right? Because seasonings don't really have calories, and you can make it taste a little bit better through the seasonings rather than the sauces and the oils and the butters and stuff like that, right? Of course, we'll have oils and butters from time to time, but I don't love the idea of depending on them with every meal to make the food taste better, especially if you're trying to lose weight. just because they're so calorie dense. Oat milk or almond milk, yep, can be used. Yeah, absolutely. All right, so eating out multiple times a week is number two. Going to make it harder, right? And again, none of these are black or white. There's nuance to everything. So ask as many questions as you need to. Number three, the third thing that makes it harder is trying to out-train a poor diet, right? So essentially what people often do is they put a lot of time and energy towards doing a ton of cardio. They do cardio every day for an hour. And they're doing it with the mindset of, I'm not eating too well and I really need to burn off the calories that I ate in those cookies or burn off the meal I just ate. When you've heard it before, we're just never going to out-train a poor diet, especially when it comes to losing weight and being in a calorie deficit. Of course, you should do some cardio for heart health. Of course, you should work out to stay strong and healthy and mobile and maintain muscle mass. But the nutrition side is where you're going to create the calorie deficit, and you're never going to out-train a poor diet. All right, so I hope that makes sense. Oh, you said I always break out when I drink regular milk. You might be allergic to it, dude. That might be a sign that you are lactose intolerant or you shouldn't be drinking it. Yeah, you might be allergic to milk. I would stop drinking it if that happens. Okay, so that's number three. Number four, the fourth thing that makes it harder is snacking, is relying a lot on snacks. What I like to do and what I'd like you guys to do and my clients to do, when you think of nutrition, shift the focus from what snacks am I going to have around and away from snacks all throughout the day or snacks at night, and shift it to meals. Can we get whole food meals, right? The nutrition industry is the wild, wild west with people saying opposite shit. Nobody can agree on, like, there's so many arguments to be made in the nutrition industry. The one thing that everybody can agree upon, no matter what side you're on, no matter what camp you come from, the one thing everybody agrees on is eat mostly whole foods, right? I've never heard anybody disagree with the idea of most of the things you eat should be whole foods, like fruits, vegetables, and lean protein sources, meats, eggs, right? Whole foods. And that's what I'm getting at here. Focus on having your 2 or 3 or 4 whole food based meals per day. However many meals you eat, honestly, it doesn't matter. However many you eat, focus on making those really good quality meals and filling meals so that you're not relying on 7 snacks throughout the damn day. Right? Ideally, you would have fewer snacks, a couple snacks throughout the day, maybe a protein shake, a couple pieces of fruit, maybe a Greek yogurt, right? You can count on one hand how many snacks you're having throughout the day, and instead you're putting those calories towards whole foods and actual meals. Okay? So focusing more on the snacks, the granola bars, the chips, the pretzels, the anything else you can get, even protein bars, stuff like that. It's making it harder to lose weight. It's making it harder to stay satiated and to stay full. And it's making it harder to get a variety of nutrients that you're going to get through whole foods. Okay, let me know in the comments if that makes sense, if I explain that decently enough. Let's see. Yeah, let me know if you have any questions about the snacks or about the out training a poor diet or anything else I've talked about, but we've covered the top 4. Number 5, the thing that makes it hard to get leaner is living a sedentary life. And I'm not going to spend too much time on this because you know it. What I consider, and this is subjective, what I consider to be a sedentary life is like you're under 5,000 steps per day. So if you whether you have like an activity tracker or your phone. If you have an iPhone, like the health section should keep track of your steps. I know it's not going to be perfectly accurate if you forget your phone or something and go for a walk or whatever. But if you're under 5,000 steps a day, make no mistake about it. Like that's pretty sedentary. And it's not going to be easy to get leaner and to lose weight if you're someone who's sedentary. I'd like you to try to get it at the bare minimum 5,000 steps per day. Ideally more, right? Like if you could get to 7,500 or 8,000, certainly 10,000 is plenty. But like the more active you are, generally the better. But just don't be under 5,000 steps a day because, dude, that is inactive. That is sedentary. That like I can get in 5,000 steps a day and not even leave my house. Seriously, like just walking to the bathroom, going up the steps a couple times, going to the fridge, like you should be able to get 5,000 steps a day, not even leaving your damn house or apartment. Okay, so that, let me know if that makes sense. Very simple one. Okay, someone said, oh, Wesley gets 11,000. Is that 11,000 per day? Awesome. That's great. That's perfect. 7 to 10,000 for Matt. Good stuff. For me, I'm in that 8 to 10,000 range as well. I'm trying to get it up higher, but that's where I'm at as well. So the sixth thing, and this is an interesting one and a big one. A lot of people struggle with this one. Number 6 thing that makes it harder to get leaner and lose weight is getting social pressure to drink and to eat a certain way, right? So if you're out with, this happens in a number of different ways. A lot of my clients, it happens in work environments, right? They have to go out to eat for lunch with coworkers or clients or people they work with. And it's like a business meeting and there's pressure that they're all going to drink. And they feel like they can't say no to drinks because this person's trying to buy from their company or they're trying to build a good relationship with this person. And if they reject drinks, they think that the person isn't going to do business with, like that type of shit. Going out with coworkers, like some companies have a happy hour on certain days, or they get together, after work or go on lunch meetings, things like that. And there's pressure from other people to drink or to eat or to, they have a pizza day at the office type of thing. It also goes with friends. If you're going out to spend time with friends, they might pressure you into having some drinks and you say, no, I'm not going to drink tonight. And they say, come on, just have one, just have a couple. And people fold and they don't stand up for what they actually want. And it turns out they have 4 drinks that day when they planned on having 0. You see what I mean? Let me know if this happens to you. If this resonates at all, or if this is at all part of your own journey. But I made a video about this. I think it's my most recent video on my channel, not live video, but like pre-recorded video. If you go on my channel, it's called like "Be Different," or it's called like something like "You're gonna have to be different if you want to be in shape." And that's because like you're gonna have to get comfortable telling people no. You're gonna have to get comfortable like rejecting drinks and not folding immediately when people offer you or are persistent in asking you to drink or eat a certain way. I'm not saying you can't, right? Of course, there's going to be occasions you go out and you plan to enjoy yourself. You plan to have certain foods or certain drinks with friends or with coworkers, or there's, special occasions like that. But it can't be every time. You know what I mean? Like if you have a work event like this twice a week, it can't be every time. Maybe it's once a week, or maybe it's every other week you allow yourself to do that. But there's nothing wrong with like going to a business meeting or going out with friends and straight up telling them like, nah, I'm not drinking right now, or I'm not going to drink tonight. And if they push you on it, you just say, no, like I'm just not, I'm going to have fun. I'm here. I'm enjoying my time with you guys, but I'm just not drinking. Like you're going to have to like confidently do things like that. And there's also nothing wrong with going to hang out with friends who may not be the healthiest or may not be eating the healthiest and enjoying your time with them and genuinely having a great time and just not eating while you're there. Like you might eat dinner at home and then go there and not be hungry and say no to the chips and say no to all the junk food they have. There's nothing fucking wrong with that. Like they might make some comments, they might poke some fun at you and stuff like that, at the beginning, but they might be coming back to you 2 years later and asking for your help to get in shape themselves because they saw that you stuck with it. So these are things like social pressure. These are things you're going to have to be able to confidently stand up for your own values and what you actually want to do that day, and not fold when people insist that you drink or insist that you eat. Let me know if that makes sense. Someone said fasting 3 days weekly is mandatory, especially for men. Why is that? That sounds odd to me. Fasting? I don't know anybody that fasts 3 days a week. I mean, intermittent fasting is maybe, there's nothing wrong with that, but and nothing wrong with fasting for like religious reasons, but I mean, to say why is it mandatory? That's a weird thing. I mean, I'd like to think that I can get in pretty good shape without fasting even one day. Anyway, number 7 is, and this one's overlooked, right? Something that makes it harder to lose weight and get in shape. Poor sleep or lack of sleep. Okay? And as more people I know become new parents and get a lack of sleep, it's becoming more and more apparent to me. If you're not getting like 5 or 6 hours of sleep, like it could very well, it's most likely affecting you. It's most likely affecting your hunger levels. Like if you're running on very low sleep or you just get shit sleep, you're more likely to have hunger cravings and not be able to control your hunger and your cravings. You're more likely to crave things that are unhealthy, it seems like. So that's something, and again, like as someone who knows a lot of new parents, that's not totally in your control, right? I'm not speaking to those of you who have young kids and are up a lot and are not getting good sleep because you have kids. I'm talking to the people who are, they could very well be getting better sleep, but they're up at night watching TV or scrolling or doing other things. Like they're choosing to do other things instead of sleeping. A lack of sleep is really detrimental to your overall health, and it certainly makes it harder to lose weight. All right. I would get 6 hours of sleep minimum if you're able to. Number 8 is chronically high stress. All right. Like I said, I work with a lot of people who, have very demanding jobs. They have tough work schedules and things of that nature. If you're highly stressed most of the time, make no mistake about it, that also makes it much harder to eat well and to stick to your nutrition plan and to lose weight ultimately and to get leaner. It's something that is part of your health. Stress is part of your health, and it needs to be taken care of and managed. And if you're doing nothing for your stress, if you're really stressed out and you're doing nothing to deal with it or manage it or try to relieve stress, you're going to be in trouble, right? It's going to affect you physically. And it's actually can be pretty dangerous with things of like, I mean, like heart attacks and things of that nature. Like you don't want to be doing nothing to manage your stress levels. So that's one that I've learned is very, very important and often overlooked. Someone said, pro tip for kids, mix in your kids' mac and cheese with protein. I think, yeah, pour it in slowly so that it, so that, mix eggs into your mac and cheese for some extra protein. Yeah, that's a great idea. Great idea. All right, number 9. We're breezing through this. I'm going to try to get through this in the next few minutes. The 9th thing that makes it harder to get leaner and lose weight is eating calorie-dense foods and snacks quite often, whether it's daily or whether it's like multiple times a week. And that's where we go back to the things like the oils and the butters and things like peanut butter. And someone mentioned like hummus before. Like there's nothing unhealthy about these foods, right? Oil, butter, peanut butter, hummus. these aren't unhealthy foods, but they are calorie dense. That's a fact. They are, even for not eating not much of them, you can get a lot of calories, is what I'm saying. So that's hard. That makes it harder to be in a calorie deficit. If you've only got 2,000 calories to work with or 1,800 calories to work with, and you're using 500 of those calories towards peanut butter or towards hummus, or you're using 2 tablespoons of oil with your dinner, you're using 250 calories towards oil. And let's be honest, like no one's just measuring out 2 tablespoons. Like if you put oil in your pan or you put oil or butter in your food, like you're probably having 300 or 400 calories worth of it. It's just making it harder. And so now instead of having 2,000 calories of actual food, you have 1,600. Like that sucks. That's hard. So it's just making it harder. Really calorie dense foods are like you're gonna have to limit or be hyper aware of when you're in a fat loss phase. And by the way, you're not always going to be in a fat loss phase. That's what people misunderstand when I say like, hey, peanut butter's got a lot of calories, oil's got a lot of calories, butter's got a lot of calories. I'm not saying never eat those things. I'm not saying those things are bad. I'm saying if you're in a serious fat loss phase, like a period of time for 3 months or 4 months or 6 months where you're trying to lose weight seriously, why are you eating a ton of things that are making it way harder to lose weight? That are a ton of calories that don't actually fill you up. Oil doesn't fill you up. Oil is the thing you put on top of the food. It's not even the food. You see what I mean? Butter isn't the meal, and it's taking up hundreds of calories. But you're just putting the butter on the meal. The butter isn't what keeps you full. Just leave the butter out and eat more chicken. Leave the oil out and eat more rice. That keeps you full. You see what I mean? Like use your calories. This is like simple like resource management. This is like managing your money. Use your money or use your calories on things that actually help you and keep you full so that you can be in a calorie deficit without feeling starving. Because if you're feeling starving all the time, it's going to be really hard, and it's going to be more likely that you can't stick to it. Does that make sense? So again, like there'll be other phases. Maybe you're in a muscle building phase in 6 months. You can eat plenty of peanut butter. You can eat plenty. You don't have to worry. Like that's the thing about this fitness stuff. Nothing's ever permanent. You could be in a muscle building phase or some other phase that doesn't involve losing weight at some point in your journey or at some point in the near future where you don't have to be as careful with the high calorie foods like oil or butter or peanut butter. But right now, if you're in a fat loss phase, now's the time to be careful with that stuff and to be hyper aware of how much you're eating of that stuff, because it adds up very quickly with the calories. Strawberries don't add up very quickly. Lettuce doesn't add up very quickly. You don't have to be careful with how much lettuce you eat. You could eat a wheelbarrow full of lettuce and not go over your calories. You could eat you could get the biggest bowl you have in your house and fill it up with strawberries, and you'd probably have like 200 or 300 calories worth of strawberries because strawberries are so low in calories. You see what I mean? It goes both ways. There's foods that are very, very low in calories that you don't need to be super hyper aware of how much you're having. And then there's other foods, it's just nature. That's the way it is. There's other foods that are very, very calorie dense. That's the way it goes. So, maybe don't eat a ton of foods that are super calorie dense. That's my point here. Hope that makes sense. Let's see. So then someone said, Far said, the body needs around 2,000, I guess, calories a day to maintain your weight. Less. So that's actually like, that's not like a fact, right? That's going to be different for each person. So for you, the amount of calories that you need to eat to maintain your current weight is going to be vastly different than it is for me. So my maintenance calories is way fucking different than your maintenance calories. Just like Matt, who was just commenting, his maintenance calories are going to be way different than mine or way different than your, right? It's different for every person. So like 2,000 calories is not some magical thing. I was just using that as an example. Maybe I misunderstood your comment, but the maintenance calories is going to be different for each person based on a number of things: their build, their activity levels, age, height, weight. Do they work out? Do they not work out? How many steps do they get per day? A bunch of stuff, right? Um, someone said, that hat makes you look fat. The hat makes me look fat? That's weird. Okay, never heard that before. Thanks, though. That's a funny comment. Matt said now he's going to make another fruit salad. Yeah, fruit salad's great. Thank you guys for the comments. Keep them coming. Keep them coming. Thank you. All right, let's get on with this. We're on to number 10. We got 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Things that make it harder to get leaner and lose weight. So number 10 is like eating out of boredom. So if you're like, if it's like a habit of yours that you, at the end of the day, you sit and watch TV and you grab a snack or eat, obviously that's going to make it harder to lose weight, right? Like try not to eat out of pure boredom or out of habit is basically what I'm saying. Eat when you plan to eat. Try to plan, you're going to have X amount of meals and you're going to have X amount of snacks. Don't eat in addition to what you have planned, ideally, unless you need to, unless you feel hungry. Like, I'm not saying everything has to be planned out, but like, don't be just randomly eating if you didn't like plan to, or you don't need to, or you're not hungry, is what I'm saying. And number 11, going off of that, is eating out of entertainment. Okay, so that again goes along with like the watching TV thing. If you're eating just to be entertained, or you are watching a movie, or you are going to hang out with friends and just to be entertained, you guys are going to order food or something, like eat if you need to eat to get in your meals, but don't necessarily do it just out of habit or just out of pairing it with something else you're doing. Because again, that's just going to make it a little bit harder than it needs to be, or a lot harder than it needs to be, depending on what you're having. Number 12, this is a big one as well. The all or nothing mindset. So many people have this all or nothing mindset, which doesn't make losing weight and getting leaner harder right now, but it makes it harder to stay lean, and it makes it harder to maintain that weight loss. You see what I mean? What I mean by the all or nothing mindset is like someone who's going all in, they're 100% strict with their diet, they're working out every day for like a month or 2 months, and they lose some weight, and then something happens in life and they fall off track, and they don't get back on track for a month later, or and it's this cycle of like being all in for a short period of time and then all out for some period of time, all in and then all out, all in then all out, and they're just on this cycle. It's like kind of like yo-yo dieting. They're on this cycle of like never being consistent for a 6-month period or a year long or 2-year period, but it's these ups and downs all throughout life. And often that happens with the all or nothing mindset. People don't want to do, like when some obstacles come up or some roadblocks come up, they only want to work out if they can do it 6 days a week, or they only want to follow a diet if they can do it perfectly. And the second that they can't do it perfectly, or the second that they need to work out 3 times in a week instead of 6, or 2 times a week instead of 6, they can't accept that. So they do nothing. They'd rather do nothing than go at 50%. Meanwhile, the person that understands that it's okay, some weeks you're going at 50%, some weeks you're going at 40%, some weeks you're going at 90%, some weeks you're going at 10%. You only did one thing. You only did one workout maybe that week. It's still better than doing 0% for a month. You see what I mean? Like, as long as you're doing something each week, you're still moving forward a little bit. And that's how you can be consistent for a year or 2 years without this stopping and starting. And that is this all or nothing mindset that people struggle with. Let me know if you've ever experienced that yourself, that all or nothing mindset. It takes, sometimes it takes a while to become aware of that and overcome it. Number 13, we're wrapping up here, guys. Number 13, something that really makes it harder to get leaner and lose weight, is having desserts every night or every other night, like multiple times a week. desserts, right? And this is coming from somebody who has the biggest sweet tooth of all time. Like, I love nothing more than desserts and sweets, specifically baked goods and ice cream. Like, I absolutely love, I could eat unlimited amounts of baked goods and ice cream. But they fall into the category of like the high calorie foods, the calorie dense foods, like the oils, the butters, the peanut butter, things like that. They're what we call highly palatable foods, meaning you can eat a ton of it and not even feel full, right? That's why I could eat a pint of ice cream and not even feel full. I could eat 4 cupcakes, 5 cupcakes, not even feel full. I could eat 2, 3 donuts easily and still be hungry. So it's a highly palatable food. It's really what it is. It's both high fat and high carb and low protein. So again, not saying you can't have desserts in a fat loss phase. I'm just saying you probably shouldn't have them every day or even multiple times a week. If possible, again, this is in the frame of if you're trying to see the best results and the quickest results and the most consistent results with this stuff, can you pick one day of the week to have a dessert? Can you save it for one day a week? That's probably the best case scenario, similar to going out to eat. Can you save it for one time a week? And that's really balance. And that's really everything in moderation, right? It's still allowing the dessert. It's still allowing the going out to eat, but it's just not having it all the time. It's picking one time a week or something, some frequency that still allows you to see the results you want to see. Okay. And then of course there's, alternatives, right? There, like you could have like the Halo Top or the lower calorie ice cream. And you know, that changes everything, right? Because instead of a pint of ice cream being 1,200 calories from Ben and Jerry's, a pint of ice cream, of Halo Top ice cream, is only 300 calories or 400 calories. So it's a fourth of the calories. That makes a big difference, right? So you probably could have the Halo Top ice cream. If you have half a pint, it's only 200 calories. Like, that's not a lot of calories to be used towards something that you really like. So yeah. So I mean, if you think about it, you could have a tablespoon of oil or half a pint of Halo Top ice cream for very similar calories. Which one do you think is going to be a little bit better and satisfy cravings? Probably the Halo Top, right? So again, just yeah, a little topic on desserts there. Number 14, all right, something that makes it harder to lose weight and get leaner is basically winging it each day with your breakfast and lunch. Okay, winging it, meaning you don't have anything planned. You don't know what you're having in advance. You don't plan in advance what you're having. And you just wake up and you decide on the spot what you're going to have for breakfast, and you decide on the spot in the middle of the workday what you're going to eat for lunch. If you're winging it, you're making it harder than it needs to be. You're making it less likely that you're going to see results. If you can have it planned in advance, chances are, think about this, chances are it's going to be a better decision. How many times do you plan something in advance that's a bad decision? Like, you're not going to plan in advance that you're going to have pizza and wings for lunch, or that you're going to have beer with, Chinese food. Like, you're not going to plan like something that is hurtful to your goals. You're going to plan something that is actually helpful. Okay. It's kind of like the equivalent of like if you have to give a presentation at work, what do you think you're going to do better at it with? Are you going to have a better presentation if you plan the presentation ahead of time, or if you show up and wing it on the spot and freestyle it? You're probably going to do better if you plan it in advance. So again, like usually the dinner for most people is going to be rotating, right? It's not going to be the same every day. But with breakfast and lunch, you could certainly automate it where you have the same breakfast every day, or lunch, you at least plan ahead what the lunch is going to be, so it's decided upon. Like, reducing decisions you need to make with nutrition makes it way easier to lose weight and to see results. The more decisions you have to make on a daily basis with nutrition, the harder it is. Okay, so you don't want to make it harder for yourself. Reduce decisions to as little as possible if you want to almost automate your results. Let me know if that makes sense. And this is why I always preach the idea of nutrition automation to my clients, which is essentially the idea of making one of your meals the same every day. So usually it's the breakfast or the lunch meal. Make it the same every day and make it something that's beneficial to your goals. Make it something that has protein in it, that's a whole food, that you know what the macros or the calories are, that doesn't take a long time to prepare, and have it every day to make life easier for you until you get tired of it, and then switch it to a different automated meal. All right, nutrition automation is where it's at. Finally, number 15, last on the list of things that make it harder to get leaner and lose weight, is the weekends. All right, some of you guys, Marty said Einstein never changed his wardrobe. It's less decisions. That's exactly right. Like, if you can streamline this stuff, you're going to, like, straight up, you're going to see better results if you can streamline it. I only have one decision to make every day with my nutrition. I have to get one thing right. Think about this. There's only one thing in the day, every day, that I have to do right, which is decide what to have for dinner. That's all like. If you only have one thing to get right, it makes it easier than if there's 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 things you have to get right. Because I always have the same pre and post workout snack, and my lunch is decided upon every day. It's automated. So reduce decisions, see better results. So number 15 is the weekends. How many of you feel like you're really dialed in during the week, have structure in your day, you have good meals, you don't go out to eat too much, you don't drink, and then on the weekend it's a totally different story, right? There's no structure because maybe you don't have work on the weekends, so maybe you're waking up later, maybe you're being social, or you're going out to eat with friends, or you have plans, so you end up drinking, or you end up going out to eat 3 times or 4 times just on the weekend alone. You're getting less sleep, you're drinking less water. You just don't have that structure from your weekday schedule, and that bleeds into literally everything you do fitness-wise. Okay? So if the weekends are way different than the weekday, chances are that's limiting your results. And it happens a lot. I see it a lot where people are really good, like they're really dialed in Monday through Thursday, but they're pretty bad Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And I hate to tell you, but if you're one of these people who's really bad Friday, Saturday, Sunday, it's going to outweigh 4 days of being good, right? Like, or I'm not saying you're going to gain a bunch of fat, but it could very well prevent you from losing fat. We're talking about half the week, right? We're not talking about like just one day. We're talking about Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We're talking about 42% of the week. Yeah, if you're bad 42% of the week, if you're overeating 42% of the week, if you're not sleeping well 42% of the week, if you're not working out, if you're not like doing the normal routines that you typically do during the week for the back half of the week, it's going to prevent you from getting the scale moving, and it's going to prevent you from seeing the results you want to see. Now, what I'm not saying is you have to be perfect on the weekend, and what I'm not saying is you even have to be as good on the weekend as you are during the week, because my clients over the last decade have proven you don't even need to do that. You just need to not be horribly bad on the weekend. You just need to be a little bit better on the weekend than you currently are. I'm speaking, if this is you, if you are like, yeah, this is, I'm like, I definitely enjoy myself and go out and have drinks, and we go out to eat on Fridays nights and Saturday night. Like, if this feels like it resembles you, you just have to be somewhat better. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to go from being really bad to being perfect. You have to be some degree better. And usually what that looks like is, quite honestly, automating your breakfast and lunch. Can you put together a breakfast and lunch that is the same as what you have during the week or just as good? can you save calories earlier in the day, eating a leaner breakfast or a leaner lunch, saving the majority of your calories for the evening if you have plans. So if you have plans, try to plan ahead, right? If you're going out to eat, can you save 1,500 calories for that evening? And just have a protein shake earlier on type of thing, right? I always recommend people do a workout on Saturday or Sunday, not because you need to work out more, but because it adds some of that structure back into your weekend. Think about what happens on a rest day versus a training day. So on a Saturday or Sunday, if you have a workout session in the calendar that you're planning to do, usually what happens is you wake up at a more reasonable time. That's already one good thing. Usually what happens is you drink some water before you go to the workout, and you maybe have a proper pre-workout snack like some fruit or something to help you have a good workout. So that's already 3 things: water, sleep, waking up, pre-workout snack. Usually you're going to get in more steps if you have a workout because you're going to the gym, you're walking around the gym. Maybe you're warming up on the treadmill for 10 minutes or 15 minutes. You're getting 1,500, 2,000 steps that way. And in between sets, you might be walking around a little bit. You're always going to get more steps on a training day than a rest day. So that's already 4 things now that are better now just because you decided to place a workout on Saturday or Sunday. The 5th thing is you're going to get in more protein because you're probably going to have a protein shake after the workout. So you're going to you end up having better nutrition. You end up having better hydration. You end up having better snacks. You end up having a better structure in your day on Saturday or Sunday just because you decided to put a workout on that day. And if it means you take a rest day during the week, that's fine. This usually helps with consistency. And this is why most new clients, I recommend that they train a couple days during the week and always either on Saturday or Sunday. But they don't take, it's like, I always recommend they don't take the traditional schedule of working out Monday through Friday and then resting Saturday and Sunday for that reason. If you have to make Wednesday a rest day and move that workout to Saturday or Sunday, it's worth it. I've seen it enough times. It leads to better results. It leads to more structure on the weekends. All right. Let me know if that makes sense. And that's one way to wrap it up here. So first of all, thank you guys so much for watching. I go live every Wednesday on a different topic that I think can genuinely help you here on my channel. So subscribe if you're not subscribed, or if you got value from the video, make sure you subscribe to my channel. I do the live video on Wednesdays, but I also post a video once a week in addition to that. So you'll see a bunch of videos, 1,000 videos of things that I've done over the years that I think can really help you. And if you have any personal questions in addition, feel free to reach out. Send me an email. Somewhere like in the description of any of my videos, you can join my email list, which is a list of thousands of motivated people like you who are into fitness, who are busy, who have a lot going on in their lives, who want to get in better shape. Thousands of people on my email list who I send probably once a week. I'm not a big emailer, but once a week I'll send out some tips and helpful things that I think you can get some value from. So if you want to join that, click any of my videos, go to the description, and you can join the email list that way. Or you can always reach out about anything else you need. Matt said, recently started working with Jesse again and already down 10 pounds so far. Yeah, Matt's crushed it. Matt's a go-getter. And funny thing is, his username is Defender of Cookies. It just goes to show, like, you can enjoy cookies. You can enjoy sweet treats and still lose weight and still get in great shape. Appreciate that, Matt. Thank you so much for the kind words. All right, guys, let's wrap it up. Thank you for watching. Again, I'm here if you need anything. I'll catch you on the next video next week on Wednesday. Feel free to set a reminder if you want to, if you got any value from this. And my other video should be going live tomorrow or the next day up on my channel. All right, guys, have a good one. Talk to you later.